Kamusta? My name is Julius and welcome to ieltsDragon, where you can learn anything about IELTS speaking from a Band 9 achiever. Thank you for being here. If you are new, welcome, and make sure to subscribe to be updated with my latest IELTS speaking videos. And if you need some reviewers for IELTS speaking, my ebooks are currently on sale. So if you're interested, just send me an email. Alright, let's begin. The first common mistake is having an illogical or incoherent answer, which greatly affects the student's mark in the criterion fluency and coherence. Well, take a look at this example so that you can completely understand what I'm talking about. This is a student's answer for the cue card, a tall building that you like or dislike in your city. The student said that the building is tucked away in the mountain. When we say tucked away, it simply means someone or something that is hidden in a quiet place where few people go. Now, going back to the student's answer, he said that this building is a high-rise building. If so, then this building can't be hidden because normally all high-rise buildings can be seen very easily, right? So the ideas are conflicting. One more thing. The student said that the building is weather-beaten. But later on, he said that the building is outstanding. Now, take note. When we say weather-beaten, it simply means damaged by exposure to the weather. And when we say outstanding, it means exceptionally good. You may wonder, how can a weather-beaten building become outstanding? So things are getting more confusing now. It means the answer is unorganized or illogical. My point here is you have to answer the question or questions in a more sensible way. That is, making your examiner understand. He won't be confused about what you are saying. So, how do we make our answers coherent? Simple. Don't keep on talking for the sake of speaking English. Remember, there is coherence. Don't jump from one idea to another idea because you just want to keep on talking. You also need to think of organizing your ideas. Remember the criterion coherence. You have to make sure that your sentences are organized or your ideas are organized. Your sentences should connect to one another. Let me give you an example. I'd like to talk about a 100-year-old high-rise building in our city, which I really like that has stood the test of time. It's the XYZ building. Notice how I developed my introduction. I immediately gave the name of the building and provided a couple of descriptions. So the next sentence or the next idea should connect to this introduction. Let's take a look. This used to be the palace of King ABC, who was the emperor of our country many years ago. See? The second sentence connects to the introduction. It's coherent, it's logical, it does make sense. Now, my second sentence should connect to my third sentence. My third sentence should connect to my fourth sentence, and so on. Let's take a look. During his reign, he was completely brutal to those who opposed him, until one of his trusted assistants betrayed and killed him. His assistant became a ruler and made the palace his own. However, in the early 80s, imperialism fell down. As a result, there was a big shift in our government. The new government took control of this building and turned it into a public museum. Nowadays, this building is considered one of the tourist destinations not only because of its history, but also because it's the tallest building in our city. Well, let me stop there. I don't need to finish the entire monologue because I think you'll get some ideas on how you can make your answer coherent. Now, going back to the sample sentences I have shared with you, you can say that the story is actually organized. The answer is coherent. I was not just talking for the sake of speaking English. I was also thinking of the criterion coherence. That is very important. We need to organize our answers so that we can get a good mark in this criterion coherence. You can't miss that criterion. The second common mistake is a lot of students are stuffing their answers with a lot of advanced words that are not commonly used in natural daily conversations, or they use some advanced words in an incorrect way. As a result, they sound so unnatural to the examiner, and that's pretty bad. For example, let's have part one. The topic is festivals, and one of the questions is, are there a lot of festivals in your country? Some students answer this way. Yes, there is a plethora of festivals in this country, such as Christmas, New Year, and other religious festivals. Wow, big word, plethora. My questions are, do you think that word is a very natural word to use in daily conversations? Do you think native English speakers use that word in their everyday life? I don't think so. I've been living here in Australia and I haven't heard Australian people use that word in conversation. Now, so why don't you use the expression a lot of? That's a very natural expression to use. The main goal of the IELTS speaking exam is for you to express yourself in English in a more natural way. Don't force yourself to use big words or advanced words, especially in part one, because if you continue doing that one, you will surely sound unnatural. Well, yes, you can use some advanced words, but you must understand how to use them correctly and naturally. Well, let me give you a very natural answer to that question about festival. Okay, so here's my own answer. Yes, there are a lot of festivals in this country, such as Christmas, New Year, and other religious festivals that each state celebrates. And you know what? Christmas is my favorite festival of all the festivals that we Filipinos celebrate because we commemorate the birth of Jesus Christ. Simple, and more importantly, sounds very natural. Yeah, that's the point of the IELTS speaking exam. Express yourself in a more natural way. Don't make things complicated. Now let's go back to the student's answer about a tall building. Let's see how he used some advanced words. Take a look. He said, I fell head over heels in love with it. Well, we don't normally say, I'm head over heels with a building. Although the expression means madly in love, we can't be madly in love with a building. It's just a building. It doesn't have any feelings at all. Yes, we can love a building because of its architecture or design, but we can't say I'm head over heels with a building. We use this expression for people. One more thing. The student said, out of this world. I reckon it's outstanding and out of this world. When we say out of this world, it means extremely enjoyable or impressive. So you may start asking yourself, in what way is this building out of this world? Well, I don't know. So this is an example of an answer that is filled with many advanced words, and sadly, they are used incorrectly. So it is very important to understand how to use advanced words or expressions. Always remember that despite a word having a lot of synonyms, you can't use them all the time. You need to understand the context of a sentence so you can decide whether to use this particular synonym or not. Don't just use synonyms because they're convenient to use or they are really advanced. Now, you also need to understand the synonyms correctly, when to use them. That's very important to avoid committing mistakes. All right, now, to tell you honestly, I didn't use a lot of advanced words or academic words when I took the speaking test. I was just speaking in a more natural way, like native English speakers do, because that's what the examiner wants. The examiner wants to know if we can handle natural conversation interacting with native English speakers, especially in an English speaking country. Yeah, I was just expressing myself in a natural way. I wasn't forcing myself to use big words, and I get a bad 9. The third mistake is for grammar. Under grammar, there are two common mistakes. First is the use of gender specific pronouns and subject verb agreement. Let's talk about the first common mistake. This is all about the use of he or she in a sentence. Well, most of the time, students interchange the two, he and she, unconsciously. When they are referring to a man, they say she or vice versa. Well, I can definitely understand that, especially for some Filipino students whom I've been coaching, because in our own language, we don't have gender specific pronouns. But honestly, this mistake is not only for some Filipino students, but also for some Japanese, Chinese, Taiwanese, and Thai students. So, how do we get rid of this problem? As for me, I normally make myself more conscious about who the person I'm talking about when I start talking. If I'm referring to a man, I program my brain to think of he. Well, practice is the key. When you speak English every day, you will be able to minimize committing this mistake. And in the long run, you will definitely get rid of this annoying problem. Just focus on who your subject is when you start talking. Before we continue, I would love to give a shout out to the following test takers who achieved their target band score from 8 to band 7. I'm hoping that you will be inspired, and I am more than hopeful that you will be the next person whom I can give a shout out here on my channel. Here are the successful test takers. First, band 8, Rebecca Matika. Band 7.5, Jelson de Guzman and Ifra. Band 7, Gukso Gunay, Jazler Jan Makailing, Jazzy Bagidodol, and Rimsha Asad. Congratulations everyone, you guys deserve it. Good luck in your future endeavors. The second common mistake under grammar is subject-verb agreement. I know for some of you this is basic, but there are still a lot of students who are struggling for this. Okay, now here, always remember, if the subject is singular, then the verb should also be in singular form. If it's in the present tense, then the verb should be in the S form. For example, the girl sings, the boy dances. Now, if it's plural, the verb should also be in plural. For example, the girls sing, the boys dance. That's pretty easy. Just master that one. You really need to master that in order for you to avoid committing mistakes. Now, let's move on to noun phrases because some students are so confused what verb should they use when they are using noun phrases. Okay, let me give you some examples. I have two examples of noun phrases. First, the dog with fleas. Second, the color of Maple's leaves. Alright, when we say noun phrase, that simply refers to a word or group of words containing a noun and functioning in a sentence as subject, object, or prepositional object. Going back to our examples, the dog with fleas and the color of Maple's leaves both function as subject. Now, my question, what verb should we use? Is it is or is it are? Now, let's start with the dog with fleas. Do you think do you think we need to use is or are? Well, the correct answer here is is. The dog with fleas is. And the second example, the color of Maple's leaves is. All right? So why do we use is? Simply because in a noun phrase, we need to refer to the head or the keyword. So the keyword here is dog in our first example. So it's only one dog. So that's why we say is. The dog with fleas is. However, if it's plural, the dogs with fleas are. Okay? So don't be tricked into agreeing to the verb with the nearest noun. You shouldn't think of the noun that is closest to the verb. You have to refer to the head or the keyword. If you're studying by yourself and you need a reviewer, my ebooks are currently on sale. If you're interested to get a copy, just send me an email. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to learn more about IELTS speaking, please watch the videos that appear on your screen right now. They can surely help you. If you want to support me, just give me a like or subscribe to the channel. I'll be updating you with more IELTS speaking videos. Thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day. Bye.